Hello, welcome to my channel Vadi's Tech Space. I am Vadi, and in today's video, we will learn about Azure Virtual Network, why it is used, and how to create it. Let's get started. Before we go to the Azure Virtual Network, let's understand how a traditional network works. This is a simple diagram. Okay. Now, in my office, I have, let's say, four computers, and the requirement is these four computers need to talk to each other privately. So, in order to do this, I need to install a switch in between wherein I have to connect all these computers to the switch. So once it is all the computers are connected to the switch, a connectivity gets established between each virtual each computer here. So a LAN is created here, and now if you want to access any external network like internet, the switch will be connected to the router, and the router uh, forwards the request to the internet. So the computer forwards the request to the switch, switch to the router, and router to the internet. So this is a simple traditional network which we have in office space. Of course, there are very complex network architectures, but this for understanding this is a simple network diagram. Now let's go to the Azure here. Now virtual networks. So this service will help you to create private network in Azure. So it lets different Azure resources like virtual machines to communicate privately, like traditional network, how we had a switch and connected the VMs. There we cannot rely on the physical hardware or wires. So there you will use the virtual network to create a private network. So some of the characteristics of the Azure VNet here are you need to provide an address space. So a virtual network needs an address space using a CIDR notation here, like 10.0.0.0.16 in this example, you know, will allow you to create like 65,000 plus resources in your virtual network. Resources in this case is your virtual machines or uh, virtual machines, you can say. Now, here, by giving this address space, you are establishing a clear boundary in the private network. The whole cloud is not yours, right? You have to draw a boundary and say that, okay, this is a boundary in which I'm going to, this boundary is mine. So this is my private network. So all the virtual machines or the resources I'm going to create within this network are private, is what you're going to see. That is why you need an address space. Now, your virtual network is tied to your subscription. Okay. And you have to remember that your VNet is a regional resource and it is tied to a specific region. So if I have a VNet created in South India, for example, then this VNet will host all its resources in that same region. All right. And you can also create multiple VNets in the subscription. So now, these are some of the characteristics of virtual network in Azure. So let's imagine here, like we have a subscription. Okay, within the subscription, let's say I have a need to create a web server, API server, DB server, and a file server. Now, the requirement is also that the everyone should be able to talk to everyone here. So now in that case, what we need to do is that you need to create a virtual network and draw a boundary here by giving the address space. So now I'm going to create a virtual network. Once I create a virtual network and deploy these servers within the virtual network, all these VMs get connected here. So this is how the virtual network VMs in the virtual networks can be connected. Now let's go to the Azure portal and create a virtual network. I am in the Azure portal now. Let's click on create new resource and say virtual, search for virtual network. Okay. So, oh boy, I'm going to filter it on Azure services only. Now I see a virtual network from Microsoft. I'm going to click on virtual network. And here it needs to be in a resource group. So I'm going to say G VNet demo. I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to give some name, VNet South India. I'm going to create a VNet in South India. Okay. I'm going to click on next. I'm going to leave all this as is. And this is the address space, the boundary which I was talking about. And subnet, in my next video, I'm going to talk about the subnet. So for now, this is the address space of the virtual network. I click on next. I click on next. And I click on create. Now the resource has been created. Go to the resource. This is our virtual network resource. In Azure, everything is a resource. Virtual network is a resource. A virtual machine is a resource. So that's why I'll be using resource in my video here. So here, this is the name of the virtual network, and this is in the resource group VNet demo, and it's in the location South India. The address space is this one, and I can also, under the settings, I can go to the address space and I can also look at the address space here. You can have more than one address space in here. Like for example, I can have 192.168.0.0.16, let's say. I can have this as well, and I can click on save. So this is also possible. You can have more than one address space. So this is your virtual network resources. So if you found this video helpful, give it a like and consider subscribing. Until next time, take care.